Romans. Well, 3, fairly hurtling through the 200s at the moment. I know you have questions. I know you want to know more, but I will explain as we go along. There is they who cannot be named, Voldemort. We'll talk about Voldemort in just a little while. Regulars will get it. Those that first timers or flying monkeys won't. But those regulars who have been here quite a few times will know exactly what I am about. Oh, that one. I've tried doing something with me kit tonight to make it speedier, so it it doesn't. So we shall wait and see. We have the amber nectar. For those that are just coming into the body of the Kirk, welcome. Please make sure you get a pew. The pulpit of truth will be starting at 7:30, and that's why we are here a little early. Although chat disconnected, please wait while we try to connect you again. Genau. So evening all, welcome to the Theatre of the Mind live. That's interesting. Oh, good to see Sandra Whittam is in the body of the Kirk. So I will welcome. We're just doing the usual parish notes for everyone. So please welcome to the body of the Kirk. If you need a cushion, because the pews are quite hard, if you prefer softer than harder, then we've got piles cushions that Sister Mary will happily give out, or get the choir boy certainly to help you with your piles. And the beer garden is open because it's still okay. It's still British summertime. I'm not sure how long we will last for with the beer garden, but hopefully till the end of August, till the August bank holiday. And we need ideas tonight. What we're going to do on the August bank holiday. I may be away on holiday. Not sure yet. We're trying to organise one, but whether we get one is a different matter. You know, last minute. In fact, has anybody got any good last minute holiday websites that don't rip you off, or they're at all protected? And it's blimey, Phil. Perrier, water, ice and lemon, ice and a slice of the ready, how I say. So yeah, if you've got any, if you've had good service or good hotel anywhere around the Med, anywhere across the world, but not kind of far east, because the one thing that my family disagree with is I say that kind of Thailand and out that way, not Japan, but kind of that, the food that they make in a wok, it's like a snack. You ask anybody in the northeast, bloody snack that, man. When's me dinner arriving? But I have found that Toby Carvery deliver, not deliver, beef and pork mainly, but those that are from the northeast understand deliver as in the. So honestly, I'm just going to end up a proper fat lad. In fact, Lammy's gastric band size, simply because, well, I love a roast dinner, me. So Toby Carvery, welcome to 2025. I'm going to be your. In fact, I'll get some kind of regular user card, hopefully. It's in Battenberg. It's supposed to be good this time of year. It gets a bit weary in the heat, does the Battenberg. But then again, same output as usual. So welcome. Oh, thank you, Karina Jane. Thank you. I've used those before. Went to a fantastic hotel in Tenerife. I mean, fantastic, all inclusive. They were going to chuck me out because I was eating them out of their profit. Bloody hell. Neil Cunningham says, Adrian, go to France, come back in a boat, you'll get a hotel and 3 meals a day, all courtesy of the taxpayer. Karina Jane says, evening, Adrian. Just having tea and toast. Lovely. Simple things in life, Karina Jane. And Jean Psychic, Blackpool is cheap. Yeah, but isn't the pier up for grabs, up for sale at I think they want to sell it for about $1 million. Really? Sandra Whitton, why don't you do cruises? We do them all the time at a good value at about 100 quid a night for food and entertainment. Jet 2 says Karina Jane. Nice. Sandra Whittam, thank you very much for your guidance and advice. Simon Clarkson, God bless James well. It was, yes, Simon, it was lovely to see the newspapers actually not slagging him off, but being quite reverential. See what I've done there? Quite reverential with James, because he was. One of the headlines was the original shock doc. No, Stanage was the first. Whale might be the longest serving, but Stanage was the first by a long stretch. Yes, Piccadilly started before Metro, I think. Thank you, Paulie, for that. Good evening, Adrian. You're utter wrongin'. Hope you've had a good day. It's been an interesting day, Paulie. I am going to be quite circumspect this evening because I don't want to go into, because I know there are people watching this tonight. So I don't want to go into well, I just don't want to go into for varying reasons. But the regulars to the channel will know me that I'm honest, I have integrity, and I do what I say I'm going to do. But it'll kind of be a retrospective, fill you in. Phil McCracken. Paul Butterfield, evening all, evening Paul, welcome to the body of the Kirk. So Paulie, I will tell you. Hang on, what's this going on here? The Des Ashton, first in the body of the Kirk, Des. Des says, I don't believe it. First through the door. Glad I've brought a picnic to wind away the time. Only 5 hours to go. Des, you're utter wrongin'. Hope you've shared out the Battenberg, for goodness sake. Because it's all we need. That and the altar wine. I do hear that Sister Mary has her speciality. Not quite sure what that is, but she has said everybody enjoys it. I mean, it just ends up with a happy finish. Stuart says, evening, Rev. I'm 4 hours early. Bloody hell, you're all keen. Just switch the notification on so I don't miss out on any Battenberg. My piles cushion is smelling very fragrant. Very good, Stuart. Just hopefully it's more comfort than aroma. Paulie, yeah, I've done that one, Paulie. Les Griffiths, welcome to the body of the Kirk, Les. Always good to see you, young sir. Karen Boo, hello, Rev, and all you utter wrong'uns. Made sure I was early too. It's going to be a good one. Well, I would like to think so. Louise Hampson, evening all, ya wrong'uns. We've done Paulie, we've done Paul, there's Griffiths. Not long to wait now. Don't forget to smash the like buttons. Yeah, utter wrong'uns. As people get their feet under the table, lots of people, very early doors. So please smash the likes, because, you know, I work hard at this. Not going to be pipe out. Yeah, wrong'un. Les says, hang on a second, I might have to go to the bottom of the comments. Martine, hello everyone. Welcome, Martine. Simon Clarkson. Blackpool, you can keep it. Like Skeg Vegas. God, I have been to Skegness once on a jaunt with Voldemort, and not again, never again. But maybe, you know, maybe I'll go on stage. Who knows? I'm not sure the theatre there is quite big. Terry Wookfit. Hang on again. Gary Shabbat, you're wrong. The only way is Sister Mary, Taoism. Oh, Gene Psychic, explain that, because I'm not. Is that Towie? The only way is. Oh, the only way is Sister Mary. Agree completely. Terry Wookfit says. Yes, well, Terry, I am going to let everybody. I'm going to read something verbatim, which means I won't alter it. I won't give an opinion. But it is important that I do it, and I will do it in just a little while. But thank you, Lord Wookfit. Thank you, Les. Thank you, everybody else. Andrew James. Someone needs to tell Starmer that 1 in, 1 out equals the same. Is Corbyn's old mistress, Madam Abbott, doing the maths? Very good, Andrew. It's reported the future of Blackpool Pleasure Beach is in doubt. Maybe they want to call it something else other than pleasure. 5 5s are 25. Hang on. Oh, interesting. Thank you for that, Paulie. So what I am, I mean, you know, I'm big enough and daft enough to look after myself, but I really don't want to go into too much detail because I know you trust me. You trust me implicitly. So I'm not telling you whether to believe me or not. I'm not telling you where the truth is or not. But you will be able to see in retrospect what I did, how I did it, because I will bring everything here. And that's as far as I'm going for the moment. But the weaponization of my childhood is simply unacceptable. That's all I'm going to say. My childhood and those things that happened to me, and just for your reference, we put a guy away in 2022 for 35 years for what he did. So and the reason why I brought that story here is so that you get an understanding of who I am, you get an understanding of my honesty and integrity, and you get to know me more. I don't need props. I'll just be me, and that's enough. But the weaponization of it, not in 2025. Hibiscus, darling, hibiscus. The Starmer, one in, one out. Isn't that his... well, Adrian, don't say that. Les Griffiths, unacceptable. It's fucking disgusting. I know, Les. Amalia Grassi, always darn late. Hello, all. Hello, Amalia. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. TMG, we respect you hugely, Adrian. You are soulful and honest. Only way to be in 2025. Woo-woo. Amalia's just arrived, says Des. Jane Psychic, this is very disturbingly upsetting. Don't be. Don't be. I'm so glad I didn't see that video. That's absolutely disgusting. We need to get... There's some stuff I need to tell you about tonight, not regarding Voldemort and what is going on in the background, because there is stuff going on in the background. Oh, blimey, Michelle D. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk, Michelle. Hope you get 5 or 10 minutes. Adrian, watching you just before I go into a committee meeting. Blimey, Michelle. But welcome to the Body of the Kirk. You can always play catch-up tomorrow. We're nearly at 7:30. Good evening, Amalia. You are not late. He is always early these days. Yeah, I kind of started about... Just because, having been a phone-in presenter of some repute, seemingly, I like to interact with the audience. So, welcome to the Body of the Kirk all. I normally start somewhere between 15:15 and 20 of an evening. The lives are Sunday through Wednesday now, and sometimes more, depending on what's going on in the week. And thank you, Karina Jane. And we start early, just so I can say hello to you, just so we can get the Body of the Kirk going. And whether it's too warm or too cold, we'll get the fans on, hot and cold, because seemingly Sister Mary is a fan of blowing hot. Maybe she has a cup of tea at the same time. That's why God made hibiscus tea, because it's bloody good for your blood sugars. Jane Psychic, I know you're a very patient woman, and patience is a virtue. But I want to talk about some stuff. I don't know whether you've... so stuff means stuff. I see you, who's a regular in the lives, did say a very good point. Said, why don't you ever put, the stuff that you're going to talk about on the lives? Well, the reason I don't do that is simply because those who know, and those who don't never will, unless they watch the lives. Because the stuff that I put in these lives is vitally important for your future, your family's future, and your community's future. So if anybody just kind of goes, oh, no, don't look, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not doing it for subs. I'm not doing it for clicks or likes, really. I'm doing it to impart information that's going to give you context knowledge, and understanding. And it's only by us communicating with each other. Fatal Racing Driver, Adrian, hello. Did you hear about Corbyn and Rayner and allotments? Yes, Fatal Racing Driver, we did the allotments last night. I don't know whether Corbyn, as multi-millionaire to Ginger Growler, what exactly he's done. Well, he wouldn't, Diane Abbott's more his style, seemingly. Oh, Soul Rebel, you're far too kind. This is the new Corrie. I mean, at the moment, it's more dramatic, to be fair. I hope you get your redress for what he's done. Rich, stay tuned. Evening all, says Angelic Inspirations. Wonderful. Welcome, Angelic Inspirations. Darren Donnelly. My week wouldn't be the same without this. Fantastic, Darren. Thank you for your kind words. So, let's have a look. I was just looking at some stuff. So if there's any comments, God blimey, you're in tonight. You're all very, very keen. Wonderful. Jerry Walkford says, behave. Corbyn can only dream of a ride on the Ginger Growler. That's obviously some fairground ride near to where... is he Islington or something? I don't know. But what am I going to... Oh, yes, there is... we're going to go around the world tonight. We are. I'm going to bring back on your radar, I told you about this last year, Black Swan. Because you thought, well, Trump's assassination or attempted assassination and other stuff, yeah, kind of. But a black swan is a black swan is a black swan, and a black swan event changes life completely. So 9/11 would have been a black swan event. We're going to talk about Black Swan and crisis events and stuff tonight. And I have said, if you're new to the body of the Kirk, please make me aware if you're a first timer, just so I can pop your cherry, because we like first timers. And I do want to welcome you to the body of the Kirk. My cassock is in the cleaners. It's got some stains on that Sister Mary looked at and went, Reverend, I'm not quite sure what that is. I said, me neither. Looks like salad cream to me, Sister Mary. And she said, don't look like that to me. Well, I had a salad yesterday, so I had some salad cream on it. So tonight we're going to talk about the USA. It's all going mad, I tell thee, mad. So, treason, anyone? Oi, 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 they're arresting everybody because, well, they shouldn't have done what they did last year. We're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, I say, I did tell you in December that he was going to make a reappearance. Not quite as dramatic as this, but he's going to make a reappearance. You think he's dead? Behave. We're going to talk about digital IDs and, oh, hang on a second, I need to, oh, bugger. That one. I think we might start with this. So we're going to talk about digital IDs, and one of the body of the Kirk has had a response from their local MP. So the emailer will remain anonymous for the moment, as will the MP's identity, but we do know who the MP is for future reference. And don't forget, Black Swan event, Reform and Farage. The attacks are relentless at the moment, especially in the Daily Mirror. Every bloody day, every which way. I mean, well, we'll talk about that later. I'll tell you what the most complained about film of 2024 was. You'll never believe it, the month of Sundays. I'm going to talk about the Clintons. Oops! And the Royals. Oh, it's all unravelling. Going to talk about the total reversal of Brexit, if we can get in, and Strictly Come Dancing. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. But remember, we'll talk about Strictly, because yesterday it was Coca-Cola from Page. Son, today it's it's all shagging. It's debauchery, I tell thee. Debauchery. What was a Frankie Howard line? Up Pompeii was just all debauchery. So we've got lots to talk about tonight. I think the most important one is going to be digital ID, which we'll get to in a moment. So evening, everyone. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk, the Theatre of the Mind Live, number 213. And Voldemort, we'll get to him in hour 2, I think. Des Ashton, Russia. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Russia today. What a bunch of tarts. They've just gone You know, the world, you can go and... Foxtrot Oscar. Russia. Andy Turner, yes, Jay Blades is in court next week, but because he's been charged, we can't talk about it. It's sub judice. We can't talk about it. No, Aidan Wells. Thank you for that, Aidan. Aidan Wellsmith, Labour Minister, putting VPNs on expenses. I say. Well, what's that for? What are they watching? We know what they're watching. They'd be tractor porn. That's what they like watching in Ozempic Palace, don't they? Tractor porn. Don't make any sense to me. Dale Steele, the man whose name cannot be mentioned, Voldemort. You know who that is, Dale. Soul Rebel, Snow White Rev. I say. The new Jesus Christ superstar is beyond words. There's definitely demons afoot. Soul Rebel. No, it wasn't Snow White, and it wasn't the new Jesus Christ superstar. But can you imagine? Albert Metcalf says, can I dip my stotty cake in your font? Albert, you can do whatever you want with your stotty cake, even if you have to put your own salad cream in there with whatever you've got. You see, people around the country might not, and around the world, because we do get viewers from around the world, they might not understand what a stotty is. Now, we don't say a stotty cake. We just call it stotty for short. It's a plate size, dinner plate size bun, for that matter, but it's kind of squashed, so it's thinner, and you just slice it through, and those miners that went down the pits out to the front, they would take stotty with them because it was very filling with whatever they had in it. Sometimes it was just jam, sometimes it was other stuff. I say, Aidan Wellsmith says, Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds and Sarah Champion put them on expenses. What are they watching? I mean, a woman? It's 2025. You can do whatever you want. What have the Ruskies done then? Well, hang on, Theo Bovril. Be patient, man. I'm going to get through it all. But firstly, we're going to do digital IDs. We've only got a month, August 21st. And then if we don't sort it by August 21st, then it's kind of game over. We're all bent over and we're being Foxtrot Oscared. Ham and peas pudding in a stotty. Oi, oi, oi. Terry Wookfit, heaven. I'm with you. I'm with you. Proper peas pudding. Do you know there's a place in Scotland that's called Peas Bay? I wonder if peas pudding came, and it's not a pudding. It's not a sweet pudding. So, notice how the northeastern accent's coming out? It's not a pudding. No, it's pudding. But Ham and Ray Norton, Megan and Andrew. We'll talk about that in just a little while. Cornish pasty on a butty. Oi, oi, fine dining. Neil Cunningham, I say. It's called a bap in the northwest, isn't it? Rather than a stotty. Anyway, we're being distracted by food. I can tell you've not had your dinner, your supper, or tea, depending on where you are in the world. I see you. The petition says January 26th before ID. The inquiry into digital ID, August 21st. That when it kicks off, because they're not in Parliament, are they? So it's all going to just gently kick off, and some of the MPs are going, no. Well, yes. And I'm going to read you this. I'm going to read it verbatim, if you don't mind, because you do need to hear this. William comments. Thank you very much. Evening, Adrian. It's my first time on the chat, but been listening for a while. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, William. And interesting news about Bill and Hillary. Rusty's roamings. We're going to get to that as well. That's why I said the Clintons. Oops. At the beginning. So I've just had pasta made by my sister from a recipe she saw on TikTok. Oh, it's better than fine dining restaurants. Get it all from TikTok. So, are you sitting comfortably? Have you got your Battenberg? Have you got your Pals cushions? And are you facing the font of truth at the front? Because that's where I'm standing. You're wrong. This way. So, I'm going to read this email verbatim, and it's an email written to an MP and the MP's response. As I say, everyone's going to stay anonymous, and I've just nearly read their name out. So, if you're sitting comfortably, and everybody's in the body of the Kirk, if you need to go out, the toilets are out the back. Sister Mary will be there helping you. Amalia's all lasagnaed out. Oh, you lucky bleeder, Amalia. Aidan Wellsmith, what's news about Bill and Hillary? Wait, man. Aidan, it's coming. bit like Prince Charles. Sorry, yeah, the then Prince Charles. Terry Woodford, subpoenaed to appear before an Epstein inquiry. Terry, man, stop giving the game away. Just keep on with your stotty, ham and peas pudding stotty. Oi, 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 oi. Yoo-hoo, Jackie Klasky. Right, so this is verbatim, an email that was written to an MP for their response around digital ID. So, dear so-and-so, so-and-so. Oh, hang on a second. Hang on. Let me just make sure I've got this in the right. Yes, I have. Let me just check this. Right, okay. I was just making sense of it in my head before I read it out to you. So if you're sitting comfortably, we shall begin. I am unconvinced by your response that you fully grasp. This is the email. This is to the MP. I am unconvinced by your response that you fully grasp the level of resentment felt by the majority of your constituents and the British electorate in general. The inevitable mission creep that will accompany the imposition of a digital ID, my words, unique digital identifier, told you about that a year ago. You just thought I was having a laugh. This will lead directly to a loss of our basic human rights. It presents the state with an overwhelming ability to monitor every individual in totality, which I believe they will be unable to resist. The story is peddled as the best method for an improvement to state security. As a veteran of our armed forces, I fully understand the difficulties that can be encountered when protecting the citizens of this once proud nation. Excuses alluding to cost are just that. As our elected representative, I assume you are there to represent our views, needs, and concerns, as we appear to be tiptoeing into a total surveillance state. I am asking that you don't just toe a political party line and instead ensure that the genuine concerns of your constituents and the wider public are given the credence they deserve. Given the general feeling of discontent and resentment being displayed, it is difficult to imagine that either your good self, as our elected member of parliament, or the party you represent will ever be forgiven. The ballot box and history will be the judge. Regards. So the emailer says, Rev, I've definitely firmly stuck my head above the parapet. However, it will require many more heads. Don't tell that to Sister Mary. Otherwise, we will undoubtedly fail. And the reason why I'm reading this to you is just to kind of G you up, because the MPs should be doing what we want, not the other way around. Not playing party politics and, taking nice plane rides and having nice dinner and meals on the taxpayer without anybody saying anything. But the emailer then goes on and says, I got a speedy response, Adrian. Thank you for your reply, says the MP. As I stated in my email to you, and you need to listen to this, it's very short but powerful. There is no intention to make digital ID mandatory. Some people do want to be able to use a digital ID, as it can make it easier to apply for things online. What, like free phones and free hotel rooms and free money and free meals? Those who want to use traditional forms of ID continue to be able to do so. But as the emailer to the MP said, it's bloody mission creep, man. So the government, again, I'm quoting directly, the government has no plans to introduce ID cards, either digital or non-digital, at this time. So can you see what they've done? Not once has that MP used the phrase unique digital identifier. Yet the MPs in Ozempic Palace the week before that they broke up was all saying to you, unique digital identifier, unique digital identifier, unique digital identifier, and not anywhere in that email. Because he can say, I never said that. I said the government has no plans to introduce ID cards, and I didn't know at the time. So they never told me. I'm just an MP, a moronic person. No plans to introduce ID cards. Remember, that was the old one. They wanted ID cards bringing in. Blair, brown, pink. Remember? No, Adrian, don't. Hang on a second. Burning pubes. Mephistopheles. What are you talking about? That's a lie. I know it is. The government has no plans to introduce ID cards. Yet last night I told you about Starmer going, well, this is important. This is important. Everybody has to have a unique digital identifier. Brilliant. And those that are that struggle to get their heads around what I'm talking about, it's this. It is a prison. It is a prison not of your making, but the government's making. It's already in China. China wanted the Tory party to give them the license to be able to deal and do the system for digital IDs. Tony Blair, who's now on the board of the World Economic Forum, right up there. We can only tell it's him by the leather on the bottom of his shoes. His head's so far up the left's arse. Technical term that we use in radio. So, and Terry Wookford says, it won't be ID cards. It will be an integrated online system used by all government departments. We know. But that MP, I'll read the first bit again. As stated in my email to you, there is no intention to make digital ID mandatory. That'll be an MP speaking. Some people do want to be able to use a digital ID as it can make it easier to apply for things online. Have you met anyone that wants digital ID? We're going to have a quick vote. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Have you met anyone that says, I want a unique digital identifier or I want digital ID? 1 for yes, 2 for no. William Cobbards, don't believe them. I'm with you, William. Everybody's saying no. Wow. Andy, you're not chairman of the Chinese Communist Party by any chance, are you? Pass in the body of the Kirk. Evening, Paz, if okay, it's going past me eyeballs so quick. Paul Mabley says yes. Angelic Inspirations says yes. That's interesting. So I would say maybe 94, 95% of all respondents are saying no. Yeah, bunch of arses. Not you. I'm talking about the MPs because, you know, those MPs can't lie straight in bed. There's nothing that I know that's straight about any MPs, as far as I'm concerned. But Paulie King, Neil Cunningham, Matthew Whedon, welcome, Paz 49. You're always welcome in the body of the Kirk, young sir. Tocker 69, the Bovril, Gary Hardy. Are you a first timer, Gary? Mephistopheles. It looks like it's. I'll tell you this. I told you that Tony Blair was having open conversations about unique digital identifiers a year ago. When Sunak was Prime Minister, the Tory party was having conversations with the Chinese Communist Party to come into this country and implement a digital ID system. And the last week in Parliament, they were all saying, well, if we implement digital ID, then we'll be able to see who's coming into the bloody country. And then we've got all the Afghans coming in, and they're going, "Oh well, yes, we'll spend billions here. Don't worry, it's not a grift. Nobody's making any money from this. We're just looking after the people that were translators." And all of a sudden, there's bloody millions of translators coming in the country. That's not. That'll do. So Phil Sumner says, "How can that MP say that? It was in the Observer 2 days ago saying Starmer moving towards identifier." Yes, he is. And you know why he's moving to a unique digital identifier? Because he's being told to by the WEF. He's being told to by the World Economic Forum from Davos. This is not chaos. This is all planned. It just appears to be chaos so that they're filling the zone. The mainstream media and the news cycle is now not a week, not a day. It's more like an hour. In fact, it's getting less than that. Sometimes stories come out and within 10, 15 minutes, another story's come out completely refuting the original story. So the news cycle is insane to keep up with. So I'll get up in the morning and I'll see a story and I'll think, all right, we'll use that on the live tonight. By the time I've got a lunchtime, story over. It's not worth covering. It's not worth talking about. Yeah, we all support Paz. Paz is one of the good guys. And national insurance number and NHS number, says Lauren Taylor. We've got loads of them. David Icke spoke about this in the early 90s. And it's because we're so busy with stuff that they can just literally, with impunity, just put stuff out there. And some people miss it, which is why I do these lives, which is why I keep going on about certain things, so that you can protect you first. Like, you're on an aeroplane. What's the first thing that you do if it's going to crash? You put your oxygen mask on, not anybody else's. So you first, if I can give you context, knowledge and understanding, you're going to be able to see through all the BS that's going on at the moment. And then I want you to protect your family, and then your family to protect the community. And that's what they want us to get away from. 15-minute cities. Can you not see what Mayor Carnage is doing in London? 15-minute cities. Brit 2014. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Brit. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Terry Wuckfit says, the groundwork for the digital ID has already been laid. Look at the provisions set in the Data Use and Access Act 2025, which has already received royal assent. Charlie knows what he's talking about. Oh, bloody thing. Yes, my government. Do as you're fucking told. Here, Kia, mate. I've had a word from WEF. Not happy with you. You need to get on rolling. And by the way, you're only going to be Prime Minister till September. So just get a groove on and get it sorted. Oh, yes, Your Majesty. Yes, Your Majesty. He's got a weekly meeting with Charles of the Week. Brilliant. As Griffith says, Amalia. Amalia, you can if you gargle with gin. Party round at Amalia's. I'm definitely up for that. So these MPs, they're feckers. So long as they're not lying, they have deniability. Oh, I didn't know that. No. There was no 3-line whips on that. No. Didn't have a clue. Have you got the WhatsApp for the rent boys at Portcullis House by any chance? Better Yaz. I'm also going to read this to you, because this is one of the funniest things I have seen in an awfully long time. But it's not even funny. Well, it is. The Russians, as Des said earlier, Russia. So I'm going to read it verbatim. The press office of the Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation reports that. Do you want me to read that to you again? I might have said it a bit quick. The press office of the Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation reports that, according to the information received by the SVR, the British Special Services plan to use NATO allies to deploy a mass raid on the Shadow Fleet. That must be the Russians. So British Special Services plan to use NATO allies to deploy a mass raid on the Shadow Fleet. Oops, you don't want to be taking on Putin. The impetus for such a campaign, according to London, should give a resonant incident with one or more tankers. The plan provides for the organisation of a major sabotage, the damage from which will make it possible to declare the transportation of Russian oil a threat to all international shipping. Are they going to start crying over Russian oil? Of course not. They want to give the Ruskies a kick in the sphericals. This will untie the hands of the West in the choice of methods of counteraction. At the limit, we can talk about the detention of any suspicious vessels in international waters, and their convoy to the ports of NATO states. Are you getting this? So basically, executive summary, British intelligence is going to do something, Black Swan event, I told you, Black Swan event, that they're going to blame on the Russians. And they're going to say, right, well, have your bloody oil and your tankers. You're not merchant tankers, are you? The British are working on 2 potential casus belli. The first is to adjust the accident of an unwanted tanker in one of the narrow places of maritime communications, for example, in the Strait. There's a few of them. I mean, look at what happened in America. Oh, you're seeing it now. Can you not remember the tanker that went into the bridge? He's retro in the body of the Kirk tonight. So there's going to be a tanker that might just hit something or get stuck in one of the straits, one of the canals, or it could be anywhere. But it's the British are working on 2 potential casus belli. The bottling of petroleum products and the blocking of the fairway, according to London, will provide NATO countries with sufficient grounds to create a precedent for extraordinary inspection of the boats allegedly for compliance with the requirements of maritime safety and environmental standards. So British intelligence, according to the Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation, the Ruskies know what the Brits are up to. So the Americans might be involved in there somewhere because they have to have deniability. And everybody goes, it was the Brits. It was the Brits. A bit like Diana's murder. So it's the Brits. It's the Brits. What do you mean you've not heard that? It's the Brits. And the Ruskies are like, you bunch of bastards. We told you that 3 months ago. Black Swan event incoming, anyone? We'll keep that for later. Because, with that executive summary, that's about as much as you need to know currently. You want to know about Clinton's, and I'm not talking about the card shop, because 2025, look, 2023 we thought was a bit mad. I said that 2024 was going to be 2023 on steroids, but 2025 is 2024 completely unrecognizable as 2024, because 2025 has been as mad as a box of frogs. I mean, we've got a new president who's now sorting them all out. All of them. All of the lawfare, everything that they tried to do to him, bankrupt him, convict him, get him in jail, anything, so that as president of the United States, he couldn't operate sufficiently or efficiently. And he's gone, all right, lads, I've sorted all the stuff in the beginning. I know where we are. I know what we're doing. So now let's go after the evil. I mean, there's Bill. William, if you wish. I mean, he's got his salad cream all over that dress. I mean, can I just ask you a question? Monica Lewinsky, why would she keep that dress and not dry clean it? Why would she keep the dress with a president's jizz all over it? Why would she do that? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Quick one off the wrist in the Oval Office. Yeah, of course. She came out, not out, but she still came out and went, oh yeah, me and Bill. But the Clintons, Hillary Clinton. I mean, there's the populace of a whole small Caribbean country that's kind of disappeared and ended up Epsteined. But the Clintons have been subpoenaed in a congressional Epstein investigation. So what's that then, Adrian? Well, it means they're going to have to come and testify. Hillary, what about Bill? Is he still shagging, or has he got ED? Is he taking the blue pill? I mean, he didn't need it with Monica Lewinsky. That's a matter of history. I mean, he's going to go down. He's not going to go down. Well, maybe Monica did, but he's not going to go down and in history as other than a shagging president. I mean, there are others that done absolutely worse than that, but I'm not going to kind of go into it. But is this simply just more political noise without accountability? Ray Norton, I heard he was papering the walls. Oh, I say, William. Should we get the wallpaper hung? If blue pills get it up, do red pills produce floppies? Maybe, Aiden. ED, eating disorder, says Somalia. Well, we're all coming around yours for lasagna, so it might be a complete eating disorder. Gene Psychic says nothing will come of it. Well, Bill did in the Oval Office with Monica. But I agree. It's just I don't genuinely don't know whether it's just political noise as a distraction. Reg D, he took a blue pill and got a stiff neck. Very good. Victoria Jones. Victoria Jones says, "Hi Adrian, newbie here. Can I have my cherry popped?" I only take Viagra. So, oh man, it's the old gag. It's went to see my granddad in hospital the other day, and he was saying, "Oh, this hospital's brilliant." So last thing at night, I get a cup of Horlicks and I get a Viagra tablet. And I said to him, "You what?" He said, I get a cup of Horlicks and I get a Viagra tablet last thing at night." And I said, "Oh, wonderful." So on my way out, I just walked past the sister's office and I said, "Sister, my granddad says that this hospital's brilliant. He's loving it here, but he's saying that you give him a cup of Horlicks and a Viagra tablet." And she said, "That's right, Mr. Allen." I said, "What's that for?" She says, "Well, the cup of Horlicks is to make him relaxed, so he can sleep. And the Viagra tablet is to make sure he doesn't roll out of bed." English bottle cap, Monica Lewinsky is known for her fashion choices, including a notable blue dress that became infamous during the Clinton scandal. Hello. Salad cream all over it. She didn't clean it either. Mephistopheles. I mean, if we told Grandma, she would have been straight in there in the car. Here I say, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa. I do think that my gran was a carpentress. She was always working with wood. She had 9 kids. Thank you, Victoria. I wanted to... so just keep an eye on the Clintons. I know that some people are cynical old tarts in here, and nobody wants to say, "Well, yes, of course, that's going to happen. Of course, Adrian." But all right, well, I'm going to ask you another question. 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes, Agincourt for no. Do you want to see Hillary Clinton face any kind of justice? Don't have to give the reasons. Just, do you want to see Hillary Clinton face any kind of justice? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Let me have a look, see what you're voting for. I'm trying to keep my screen clear. Oh yes, everyone's at it. Everyone's at it. So all the newbies, hopefully, the way we do things is this is interactive. These lives that we do are interactive. And William Tulloch, yes. Martine, yes. Cuban Pete, yes. Wow. Was that the one when she wobbled trying to get into that van, Les? Adrian, she was executed in 2018. Justice for Vince Foster. Nice one, Vixtex. Vote rigging, yeah, of course, Aiden. Fraud, says Aiden. Frazzle drip, says Control Alt Delete. I know. I mean, I just. If you want to look at Frazzle drip, it's on the dark web. So, but I would suggest that you don't. I would suggest that you don't even Google it. You Frazzle drip is beyond anything that you want to experience. I promise you. Aidan Wellsmith says, "Yep, off a rocker on meds." CTID, Frazzle drip. Yeah, Rich says she used the IRS and lawfare to get at all of her opponents. I mean, I love the Trump thing where she said, "Oh, he don't pay his taxes." And he said, "Hang on a second, I use the same systems that all your donors use. Is it suitable for work?" No, Stuart, no. No, just not under any circumstances. And I'm not suggesting that you go looking for it either, because it might put you on radars you don't want to be on. One day, maybe, if I get a chance, I will tell you. But it is... Phil Sumner says, "What is Frazzle drip?" Linda Lewis, "It was a cock-a-leaky soup." I'll ask my neighbour. She knows everything, says, "I see you." Ask the wife. Seemingly, they all know everything. I won't then, says Stuart. "Do you believe Frazzle drip is real?" Andrew James. Yeah, I do. I do. Why do I think that? because there's a video to prove it. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But for me, it is real. I won't tell you how I know, but I do. Control Alt Delete, so you understand. Control Alt Delete says I've seen the vid. And no, I think if you do your research, you will get to it or find it in a suitable way, but it's not something. Frazzle Drip with the Fraggle Rock. No, English Ball Cup. No. Yeah, wrong. 12 police officers saw the video, most unalived themselves. Yeah, Ray Norton. I know. It was investigated, nothing was done about it. Evil exists and sadly very real. I'm with you, Des. So it's not... Look, there are lines within what I do here, and most of the time I can kind of get around it. But this, as Control Alt Delete will tell you, this is so evil that the screams of the kids, what they do is, I mean, I've seen 2 girls, 1 cup. So if you know, you know. I'm not going to go into that detail either. It would take more than 1 Battenberg for a kickoff. I mean, you can try, but Amalia, it's just not worth, because you can't unsee it. And I know we're curious creatures, and I know we want to get to the truth, and that's what this channel is all about, truth on many different levels. But this, if you want to go and do your research, do your research. But I would suggest to you that if your constitution is not kind of bomb-proof or bulletproof, Terry Wookfit, back to the Battenberg, it's not worth your while. It isn't worth your while. And I noticed nobody's referenced 2 girls, 1 cup. Yeah, the Evil Bovril, it's horrible. Right, Amalia's not going to Google it. That's fine. So we're kind of getting a flavour of what you're thinking about the Clintons, because there's a lot of this at the moment. The world is full of evil, and you know, evil doesn't just kind of sit there with, like the King Charles first portrait. Like it's all blood and it's all red and it's all like ooh. But evil presents itself as something that you would like. Evil will present itself as a world leader who's literally killing off his own people and his own land, just so he can rule over the ashes. And we have evil that are being manipulated by other evil entities around the world. And I don't have to go into any detail for you to know what I'm talking about, because you already know. You've been here enough. But evil is... So it will present itself as something that you would like, whether it attaches itself to your passions, or whether it attaches itself to one of the 7 deadly sins, or whether it attaches itself, not to be tree hug and hippie-ish, but it attaches to something that you go, I really like that. Yeah. Like some people in showbiz, some of the stuff they've done, and I've told you about some of it here, you just think, well, hang on a second. I've told you about British MPs that, you know, cruised around certain areas of London and took young chaps out for a sailing trip, and the young chaps never came back. Everybody knows that. It's kind of one of those apocryphal tales. It's one of those, everybody's heard it. It's like the Chinese whispers. But it's better not to tug the tiger's tail, as I have found out many times to my chagrin. But I think Hillary and others, and I know Nancy Pelosi is being scrutinised, because Nancy Pelosi has made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from an annual salary of about $175,000, $180,000. So everybody's looking at it going, yeah, we get that. Yeah, we get that. We completely understand that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wrong. Did anybody see Trump on the top of the White House today shouting at the press photographers at the front of the White House? Now, I didn't think, oh, that's the president. He's shouting at the press pack. I just thought the president of the United States of America is shouting across the White House lawn at the assembled pack of photographers. No. So, the Morning Cloud, yes. Hang on, let me have a look at that. Yes, confirmed completely. Stephen Hall, thank you. Control Alt Delete. Let's have a hammer party at Pelosi's. Yeah, Insider Training says Tom Harney's. Gene Psychic, the Royals. Well, we're going to get to the Royals in just a little while. 2 Girls, 1 Cup was real. Led to some legal issues. Don't watch it. I know, Rich. Somebody said to me, oh, you've got to watch that. And I watched it just out of curiosity. Easily a decade ago. Easily a decade ago. In fact, it would be more than that. It would be probably about 15 years ago. And it's kind of around, but it's not something that you want to watch. Like I say, even with Battenberg. Evil feeds off our fears, so we have to confront evil with our truth. Wonderful, Gene Psychic. Wonderful. But that's why the current parasitical classes are trying to get the UN and WHO Agenda 2030 through. They want digital ID. They want to control me, you. There will be a rise up, because what they'll do is they'll get digital ID in gently. It will be mission creep. It will be for all those people that. Okay, Dan Clark says, 2 Girls, 1 Cup or the Soggy Biscuit game. I won't talk about freckles. Those who were ex-military will get that reference. Well, there's plenty of ex-military in the body of the Kirk this evening. So, it's. I think we're being. I certainly have been desensitized to some of the stuff that we are witness to. Whether it's the parasitical classes, they're not doing anything for the benefit. Yeah, Rich says, I've got ex-military mates who talk about the soggy biscuits and private schools. Circle Jerk, I think, is the soggy biscuit game. Ray Norton, I watched 2 Girls, 1 Cup. I was mortified. Why share 1 cup when they could have 1 each? Correct, Ray. Share and share alike. So I think we're being desensitized. And some of the time when I'm talking to you and I'm bringing certain subjects to you, it's, as I've done this week over the last... it's Tuesday now, over the last 7 days, I've kind of given you a platform, a base to work from. And it means that you can add to that via your own research. I'm not going to give you all your answers, but you can do your own research and get to it. So, if you want to find 2 Girls, 1 Cup, it's there, but I suggest you don't, because you then become desensitized to something that is etched on your eyeballs. And it's not... which Gene Psychic, which DJ used to have dogs barking as part of his jingle? It was Ed Stewpot Stewart on Saturday and Sunday mornings, I think, the breakfast show. Didn't he have? I can't remember what the dog was called though. So I don't want you to be desensitized to a point where you're like Blipverts with Max Headroom on Channel 4. Remember that? That was, oh, blimey, 40 years ago now, almost. Rich says it's classed as extreme porn. You will end up on a list. Well, not 15, 18 years ago, but nowadays. Arnold. Wasn't Tony Blackburn? I'm sure it was Ed Stewpot Stewart. But it might have been Tony Blackburn as well. Yes, it was Stewpot. Legalista saying Tony Blackburn. Simon Cowell released a song with dogs barking on it. Was that not Sunita? So macho. Aidan Wellsmith, which is why I'm always sceptical about the accusations of Heath. Plus, if you look at the coordinated attack on Farage from the left, yes, I am going to mention that tonight. Let's get into... I'm going to read something to you that is... that I'm going to read verbatim. And there is a reason behind it. Because I can attribute this to Notts Live on Nottinghamshire Live. And they've an article dropped about 6:30 this evening on their website, and it's there if you want to go and see it. You can read it with your own eyes. But Knots Live have done a piece about convicted stalker. We'll call him Voldemort. I don't want to use his name for varying reasons, but mostly because I don't want to give him that credence. Convicted stalker has been forced to cancel his upcoming tour due to concerns by the probation service he will break his license conditions. The former presenter has alleged he will be paid nearly £100,000 to cover his lost earnings, but the authorities involved have denied this. The convicted stalker was jailed in September 2022 after what a judge described as a vicious and continued campaign of abuse, which saw him target 2 BBC presenters, a videographer and a theatre blogger. Now, the former BBC Radio Leeds presenter was jailed for 5 years, 26 weeks in September 2022, with the court making it clear at the time that he would serve half of this in prison and the other half on licence. And he was reportedly released from HMP Fossway in Leicestershire on licence conditions on June 12th. The convicted stalker has been due to tour various parts of the UK, starting with Nottingham on August the 9th, before travelling to locations such as Mansfield, Gloucestershire, Bournemouth and Blackpool over the next month. All venues are kept secret until 1 p.m. on the day of the events to stop them being sabotaged, according to his website. However, Nottinghamshire Live understands the tour has been blocked by the probation service over fears that it undermines public confidence in the justice system and would lead to the convicted stalker breaching his licence conditions. A spokesperson for the service said, offenders released on licence are subject to strict conditions and can be recalled to prison immediately if they break the rules. Every offender is subject to a good behaviour licence condition to ensure that they do not seek to gain income from their crimes. Licence conditions can also include restrictions on where offenders can travel, who they can contact, restrictions on phone and internet use, wearing a tag, to abide by a curfew and living at a particular address. In his Voice of Reason phone-in, which was live-streamed to members on Sunday, August 3rd, the convicted stalker says police had, quote, with no reason, no justification, cancelled my tour. He also claimed he would be paid nearly £100,000 to cover his lost earnings and expenses. However, this has been denied by all authorities involved. Now, as I reported on this channel last Thursday, the convicted stalker was given a 4-week deadline to prepare his defence to a case brought by one of his victims, who is seeking damages. Now, the convicted stalker was convicted of stalking to cause alarm and distress to BBC Radio Northampton presenter and guilty of the same charge concerning a videographer. He was further found guilty of simple stalking of a theatre blogger and another BBC broadcaster. For varying reasons, most of them legal, I'm not mentioning any of their names because I think it's unfair. But this is on Knots Live if you want to go and find it. As well as indefinite restraining orders being made in relation to the 4 people he was convicted of stalking, the convicted stalker also has indefinite restraining orders imposed in relation to 4 women whom he was cleared of stalking. The first video featuring the convicted stalker since his prison release was uploaded to the Voice of Reason on Sunday, June 22nd. In the video, he suggests that dark forces are trying to remove his channel and says, "We're not safe on here." My thoughts? I looked at the notes from the solicitors that are representing one of his victims. They're not going to lie in that. They're not. But the judge said, you have until August 28th, because it's bank holiday weekend. August 29th is the Saturday. So the courts will stop and go away for the bank holiday weekend. Is it Friday, August 28th? So he's been told because he was asking for an extension until October. The judge said, and it was a hearing heard on Microsoft Teams. It wasn't actually heard in a court per se, almost a bit like judges' chambers. But he was told he was not given an extension. He was not being allowed to use a countersuit as his defense. He has to lodge a defense with the court by August 28th. And if he doesn't, because he's representing himself again, if he does not, then the default will go to the claimant. It's really that simple. Whether he's told you that truth is another matter. I'm not interested in a self-confessed liar in 2 court cases. But I know that this will have been run by lawyers, not live lawyers. So my thoughts. I'll repeat this to you. Every offender is subject to a good behaviour licence condition to ensure that they do not seek to gain income from their crimes. There it is, in black and white. It'll be interesting to see what happens when his second book comes out, which is all about HMP, seemingly, and the judiciary. Every offender is subject to a good behaviour licence condition to ensure that they do not seek to gain income from their crime. So I'm not sure how we can get away with publishing a book that's all about being inside. So as I say, it's in black and white, not live. My take on all of this? Be sure your sins don't find you out. Interesting. Is it bank holiday Monday the 25th of August? I thought it was bank holiday. I was absolutely sure. So we'll move on. I wanted to bring that to you because that's fact. Not live. I've published it tonight, 6:24, I think it was. So I brought that. Fact, 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 fact. We've got other stuff that we need to talk about. I want to get to the Black Swan event because it's coming. Now, whether it's the fall of the fiat currency, which is the paper currency. If I say fiat, think fiver, tenner, 20, 50 quid note. So that's the fiat currency. In Europe, it's the euro. In America, it's the dollar. In Russia, it's the ruble. Here, it's the pound. So they need that to crash. What are they going to do that? Is it going to be a cyber attack? It's going to be a crisis event, and it's going to be within the next 6 months. Because I'll guarantee you, Trump does not want anything like this happening in 2026, because it's the 250th anniversary of American independence, I say. So the Black Swan event, what is needed? For an example, if you've never heard this term before, it is like 9/11. To a certain extent, 7/7. But 9/11, life and the world afterwards was never the same. That is a Black Swan event. So what's needed? It's going to be a crisis event. It's going to be a massive crisis event. Whether it's one of these things from the sun, coronal mass ejection. Who knows? Could be a cyber attack. I mean, we were told. See, Liz Truss kind of gave the game away. She told us that we were going to lose power. There was going to be a power cut. And somebody did say, oh, there might be a cyber attack. So whether it's a coronal mass ejection, CME, or whether it's something else that they blame on, maybe the climate change. But they're going to close down the central banks so you can't get to your money. And what you're going to do, just draw it all out and go into paper money? They're going to do away with that. So your paper money becomes worthless. The central banks crash. Well, they appear to crash, like 2008. So once the power shuts down, if there is going to be a cyber attack, nothing works. Nothing. And if you believe that society is built on something that's so robust that obviously it will work, well, fuel, NHS, shopping tills will not work. They won't. Your card won't work. You won't be able to buy anything. You won't be able to go to the shops because A, you don't have any fiat currency and you do not have a card that works. And if we've got digital ID by that point, they'll just go, oh, well, we've had a cyber attack. You're just going to have to eat dirt and crickets for the next week. They may say it's an environmental crisis, but we know that the UN and the WHO Agenda 2030 want that to happen. They want a crisis. But will the environmental crisis come after the, say, power crisis? We might have aliens in 2027. We might have aliens in 2030, but they won't do it at 2030 unless the actual stop year is 2050. But all they will do, if there's an environmental catastrophe or crisis between 2026 and 2028, it will just bring in more powers for government. A bit similar to 2020. Remember when Bojo the Clown was on the telly saying to everyone, yes, well, we're going to have to lock you down for 4 to 6 weeks just to flatten the curve and protect the NHS. 2 years later. Yes, we have emergency powers now that we can implement and you will do as you're told. And we all get locked down and we can't come out of the house. I mean, I've said this before for comedy, that people were loaning out their dogs so that people could go get out of the house and take their dog for a walk. Didn't have to be theirs, just any dog. I mean, some of the dogs around my place were the fittest they'd ever been because they were being walked like 10 times a day. So if you think they're not going to do this, just cast your mind back. 2020, lockdown, Charlie 19, it was all planned, and it was a dress rehearsal for what is coming. And I believe this Black Swan event, I could be wrong. If I was right and I had a psychic ability, then I would be winning the lottery every weekend, and I'm not. But we can see the evil that they are writ large in front of us. That's what they did in 2020. Look at the banking crisis of 2008. They didn't tell you what the crisis was, but the banks didn't lose any money. Everybody else did. Some of the Americans, the subprime market, lost their bloody houses, everything. Mortgages, houses, gone. But the banks didn't lose any money. In fact, there was meetings in this country where Brown attended, and they were all trying to make sure that none of the banks folded. They were trying to make sure that none of the banks went under because they didn't want to run on the banks in 2008. And we managed to get out of that deep hole. But it's there. It's happened before. It is there. So just keep an eye on things. And by the way, tough audience tonight. Can you smash the likes? Because I put these up and they're not monetized. But if we can get to 200, it's a regular thing, and the audience and or the algorithm recognizes that 200 likes, it must have been okay. So they'll just send it out more out into the YouTube universe. It's now August, and what's coming up? Quarter 4. Quarter 4 is the most listened to radio quarter, the most viewed TV quarter, because we all come out of summer and holidays and we all start to come in the house and we all start watching stuff on the telly. And this is why I've got a sniff of Strictly Come Dancing. Now, remember Radio 2, Johnny Walker, the presenter. Radio 2. Radio 2 was a bit dowdy, a bit stuck in the mud. It was a bit oldie and, twin set and pearls. Johnny Walker comes along, coke and whores. And everybody's like, whoa, Radio 2, bloody hell, that's sexy. I mean, he didn't get done or anything. And it was kind of swept under the carpet a little bit. But he was providing coke and whores for Arabs that came into London. And, I mean, I just thought it was daring do from the pirate class. And But what it did was, even though Johnny got a bit of a doing in the press, it made Radio 2 sexy. So if you think about Strictly Come Dancing, then it's a bit, ballroom dancing is it seen to be for people who are a bit, older and nimble on their feet and not sexy at all, but it's all BBC stuff. So the PR machine, this is August, remember? It's going to start in September. And the PR machine is in absolute full swing. Knock 'em dead, full swing. So we had the front page headlines about, oh, I say, Strictly Come Dancing, they're all off their tits. Technical term, headline, Coca-Cola, yesterday, 2 of them. So what we've done, we've been very supportive, and we've asked if they need any support and help and guidance and rehab. It's illegal. But the BBC, saying that can be seen as supportive and gentle, and the BBC looks a certain way. Now, with it being sort of full 360, so it's beginning, middle, and end, you can understand that the BBC, in my view, has had a very clever hand in this. And then today they're talking about 2-page spread, talking about debauchery. So it's kind of the younger element. It's almost Love Island. Strictly's turning into Love Island. Well, they're all shagging. It's debauchery. It's like the bloody Romans. As I've said to you before, Ian Jury, sex and drugs and rock and roll, baby. So I do believe that it's all of this is made up in some PRs, public relations executive head. Head being the pun. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for your continued support. I do appreciate it. And we have Strictly just sitting there as the number one TV show on a Saturday night. Nobody can assail it. But sometimes if people go, oh, I say, no. They're all off their tits and they're all on their tits. No. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. But do you know, the pensioners now, they're so in rock and roll. They were the hippies in the 60s. They're laughing at stuff. They're, in their sort of late 60s, 70s, possibly up to the 80s. They were rocking and rolling in the 60s. From the 50s, they were all on Quaaludes and doing this and doing that. Coke was for the rich, doing a bit of blow. And look, this is historically accurate because they were all hippies and they were all hugging trees and getting off their heads. It's nowadays, people, their emotions are so wrecked that they've got to go and do ayahuasca to find out who they are. Sit down with me, I'll point at you, I'll tell you exactly who you are. So just watch out for Strictly, because this is going to keep going for the next month or so. There'll be loads of Strictly reportage. They'll be like, they're launching Strictly for this year, 2025. And then they'll have, we've got some famous people who are going to be dancing on Strictly Come Dancing. And all we want to know is who's shagging who, where the debauchery is, and who's getting off their tits. Technical term, obviously. So some of the stuff I wanted to talk about this evening. Whilst I've been talking to you, I've sort of given it the Russian. I gave it verbatim, but I've just given it a quick executive summary in my head so that you could possibly understand it more. So Russia is claiming that the British intelligence agencies are preparing an environmental disaster in international waters. There you go. That's what it is. The press release says that British special services plan to use NATO allies to deploy a mass raid on the Shadow Fleet. So we know the what, the how. As a result of this false flag incident, it will be possible to declare that the transportation of Russian oil is a threat to international shipping. That's the who, the what, possibly the where, and the why is there are 2 scenarios planned, both of which intend to use the services of the Ukrainian security forces. Where's Sniffy gone? Exactly. So the goal is to force Washington to take the most severe secondary sanctions against buyers of Russian energy resources. Trump's administration reverses pledge to tie FEMA funds to their stance on Israel following criticism. So the Russians, seemingly from our intelligence agencies. And remember, the intelligence agencies, both American and British and Israeli, Mossad, have got a total grip on world events. So maybe they are going to do that. Maybe they're not. So here's something that you won't see anywhere. You won't. It won't be in the press tomorrow. And this is of national importance and gravitas. You might not think so, but if you're a regular viewer to this channel and the lives that I do, it is this. Netanyahu is the most evil man. I mean, even above Fauci and Gates, he's the most evil man on planet Earth. And how can I say that? Because he's staying as a war prime minister. And whilst he's a war prime minister, he's never going to end up in court with the Israeli people taking him to court and then trying him for stuff. I'm not going to go into that yet. But the Israeli prime minister, Netanyahu, has made a move to fire his attorney general, prosecuting him for corruption. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi to his mates, his government unanimous, Jesus, I can't say this, what's going on with my speech? Unanimously voted Monday to fire Attorney General Gali Baharav Mira, who is currently prosecuting Netanyahu for corruption. So Netanyahu fires the Attorney General who's prosecuting Netanyahu for corruption. It's politics. He's never going to leave the office unless he's taken out with a heart attack. I think there was an initial release today for Ozzy. Ozzy seemingly died from a heart attack. It was, everybody says, oh, he's got Parkinson's and he's got this wrong and that wrong. Lived a very full life, but it was an evolving infarction. It was a myocardial infarction, so it was a heart attack. That's come out a couple of hours ago, and I'm sure it'll be all over the press tomorrow. Just wanted you to know, because they want Ozzy in the papers every bloody day, just to avoid other stuff. It's a good day for burying bad news. I'll tell you about the Americans. Attorney General Pam Bondi, I'm sure you're very well aware of her. The DOJ is launching a grand jury investigation into Russiagate. You know how the politicians were like, oh, the Russians were involved in electing Donald Trump to the presidency. Well, it turns out they weren't. So the DOJ is launching grand jury investigations into Russiagate conspiracy allegations. Attorney General Pam Bondi directed her staff Monday to act, that's yesterday, by the way, to act on the criminal referral from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who's proper after them, the wrong uns, related to an alleged conspiracy to tie President Donald Trump to Russia. And the Department of Justice is now opening a grand jury investigation into the matter. So wait for the brown stuff to fly in America. Look, get your popcorn. The next 6 months in America, in fact, the next year in America is going to be wild. It's going to be a wild ride. Get the popcorn, wild ride. Now, I'll leave that one. Wow. I'll leave that one. So, you know, the online safety bill that kind of came to us a week ago. Seemingly, the word on the street is the government's internet crackdown is going to end up silencing vulnerable communities, stifle political speech, and create massive new databases of personal data. So, you know, facial recognition, as well as the digital ID and the UN and WHO, Agenda 2030 and WEF and that kind of jigsaw. Something so simple, Companies House. They're now saying they are confirming that identity verification is going to be rolled out from the 18th of November 2025, which looks like either digital ID or facial recognition. It will be one of those two. You won't be able to see stuff in Companies House unless you let them have your data and your face recognized and or your digital ID. So Companies House has confirmed that from Tuesday, 18th of November 2025, legal requirements for directors and people with significant control PSCs, Papa Sierra Charlies, of companies to verify their identities will begin. Mission creep, they start small and then it's mission creep. Now, as I've said to you many times, if you want to look at what's coming for us, it's going to be Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and or us. Excuse me, wow. Oi, oi, oi. But it's not one of those countries. Mexico, of all people. Mexico is making biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. So if it's happening elsewhere in the world, you know that it's going to happen here. It is going to happen here. Come hell or high water. Sure as eggs are eggs. It's going to happen here. Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned the previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. So you know that is coming here. And as I said at the beginning of this live tonight, it's time to start emailing. Time to start emailing your MPs and showing them that they have to be responsible for their actions. Because if they're going to imprison us, which they want to, and that's exactly what Mexico has done to its own citizens, then we have no choice. And neither do they. But if they have all of this data, facial recognition, your fingerprints, I mean, if you've got an iPhone, they've already got your fingerprints and your facial recognition and your data. So they know what you like, what you don't like, what you view, what you don't view. So social media is helping governments around the world to bring in digital ID. And it only takes one. And then, I mean, maybe Mexico has introduced this digital identification system because they want to know who's going over to America. All the little Mexicans are trying to get through the border. So it won't be long before the Americans have that. But Trump will do that if he's going to do it. He'll do it in his last couple of years. So he's got till 2029. I would suggest 27 onwards. 2027 onwards. So let me just tell you this about our government, because this will not be in the press tomorrow or any day after that. The government wants to use homelessness as a pretext for indefinitely locking up anyone who might pose a threat to its chokehold on police state power. Now, it was interesting that when we were all locked down, all the homeless disappeared off the streets. So if they can do it for profit with the jibber jabber, then they have the facility to get homelessness off the streets. But they don't want to do that. Why is that? Right, I'm going to also put this on your radar, because remember, the government will look at pensions. So a lot of people are not going to get a state pension by the time they become a pensioner, because what they'll do is they'll kind of reverse engineer it, but they'll just make sure that this blob of people that they seemingly can't afford will either die off, fall off their perch, or they'll just make sure that they don't get a pension. I think we should all just be given the money that they give to MPs when they leave Parliament and just share it out. Because we're now doing as much work as these moronic people in the Ozempic Palace. But there is a growing gap between public and private sector pay and pensions, and that is untenable. So last year alone, taxpayers were hit with a record £47 billion bill to fund public sector pensions. So, you know, teachers, firemen, police, civil servants. You and I were hit with a £47 billion bill to fund those public sector pensions. Some of them are amazing. So while the average employee in the public sector enjoyed an average increase of £9,320 on the value of their future pensions, a private sector employee only managed £3,200. So what they're wanting to do is they want you to Thank you, Scarlet Pimpernel. I'll have to read that again just in case I say the wrong thing about kids. So what the government are wanting is that this amorphous mass that is just getting older and older and older, and the kids coming behind them, the kids are never going to get a pension, a state pension. They're going to have a private pension, and that the government will raid those private pensions. You think they won't? You're going to have digital ID. You'll have no say. Oh, you won't allow us to borrow some money out of your pension. Right, you can stay at home for a week. So all of these gold-plated pensions are going to disappear. There was a final salary and career average. They brought career average in because it wasn't as valuable to you, but it became a way of the government not paying as much money to you. So all of that is going on whilst we're looking at Strictly Come Dancing doing coke and shagging. Can you see how they do this? They don't want me and you to get to our pension age, maybe 67 or 68. They want the kids coming up now, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They want them to get to a pension and there be no pension, because then they don't have to keep stumping out the billions and billions and billions. But look, I'll give this to you straight. They just want us gone. Kids are going to have to work until they die. So the average lifespan is what? They reckon 76. But a lot of these kids now, because of the health and the diet that they have nowadays, is super healthy. I mean, have you noticed how tall the kids are now? I mean, they're about 7 foot tall. Imagine one of them dressed in a spacesuit going to see the Mayans in the hills in the Amazon. That would have freaked them out. But they just want us to die off and bagger off and Foxtrot Oscar. But they are snake oil sellers. That's all I'm going to say. They're snake oil sellers. Let me just see. I think I'm getting tired now, and my speech is starting to suffer. So I think, let me just make sure I've got everything that I wanted to talk to you about this evening. There is stuff that I'll bring. So tomorrow night's live is 7:30, Wednesday night. I'll do the usual stuff and bring stuff that needs to be on your radar, that you need to be aware of. And I think we'll do that for this evening. Maybe I think there's an early night needed for the old boy Adrian. Gene Psychic, it wouldn't surprise me that they've spent the pension pots. It just wouldn't surprise me at all, because they need the old uns just to bagger off. I mean, look at what they did to the pensioners in lockdown, and how they got rid of them. Also, kids these days are not breathing tons of second-hand smoke like we did. Correct. Neil Cunningham. Cheers, Adrian. Good night, one and all. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions. Please, as you leave the body of the Kirk, if you can smash the likes, I'm sure we would get to nearly 200 likes. And I'll be back Wednesday night, 7:30. Whatever you do, wherever you go, don't forget the Battenberg. Be well. Stay safe. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for your support as always. And don't forget the Battenberg. But remember, this is not a show. This is a mission. We continue Wednesday, 7:30 tomorrow night. See you then.